Hey, what's up, guys? So I want to go over a couple different charts and talk about some stocks that were on my radar today, and kind of how I go through the process of taking a trade. I feel like this will be very valuable for you guys because I talk about the circle of trading, because that's what Steve Goldstein used when I used him as a mind coach. He talks about everything like the first thing you do is you have to analyze, okay, is this even worth my time and energy to trade the stock? That's step number one. Step number two is you see the thing, you take the trade. Okay, awesome. Now you're in the trade. All right. Well, now how does your performance do? Are you following your rules? Do you have your entry, your risk, and your targets? Perfect. How are you doing that? Now, once you're in the trade, it either works out or it doesn't work. This is where you need to be able to just cut ties with everything and be able to reset and be like, okay, well, now I need to stop and be like, okay, well, how did I trade? Did I follow my rules? Did I reset? All that kind of stuff. And then it's like, all right, is there another opportunity? You bring it back up to the top. But a lot of people misfire on that kind of stuff, and they either don't have good prep, they don't follow the rules, and they don't perform well, and then they have no such thing as a reset. And so I kind of want to go over a couple different things because I had some conversations today that I think that this will be very valuable for you guys. So I'm going to start off with the stocks. So the first thing that was brought to my attention was UBXG. And the reason that I was not interested in UBXG was because I'm pretty damn sure it's a recent IPO, because it has no stats at all. Um, it was on SSR. Yeah, it had a decent float. It had not, no institutional ownership. But when I went to the chart was just looking all crazy and was acting all funny, and I just didn't want to deal with it. And luckily, there was some other stocks that like caught my attention. MRM was one of them. The only problem that I had with MRM was microfloat, which has basically been the common theme lately, is microfloats or SSR or high institutional ownership. For whatever reason, about a month now, that's been the common theme. So I was like, man, all right, well, I'm gonna kind of go into that here in a little bit, but I was just like, man, freaking microfloats. And it's only got one gap stat. Yeah, it closed red one time, but it's only got one gap stat. So that's not really ideal. The other one was PWM. Once again, microfloat. Luckily, no high institutional ownership, no SSR. Once again, it's only got two gaps. One green, one red. It's 50-50 microfloat. I was like, ah, damn, dude. Like nothing. And then Paul called out RR. And I was so freaking happy. Float 35 million. No institutional ownership, no SSR, four gap stats, three closing red. I was like, dude, finally, finally a stock to trade. And then you come over to RR and you see this shit. And you're like, dude, like, what is this? There's no volume at all. I was like, dude, no. There's finally a stock worth trading, and we get this shit. And I I get all sorts of, I don't know, like, not, I don't want to say irritated, but kind of. I was just like, man, I was telling Paul, and I drew out in uh the Discord room, which I realized that people were not able to see that at the very beginning, but I want to go through real quick. So I drew out PWM, Float, IO, MMR, Float, IO, SSR, then RR. And I started drawing in the areas that I would need it to hit for me to take a trade, which is what you guys should all be doing. Everybody should have a plan of how they're going to trade the stock. And the only way you trade the stock is if it hits that plan. Well, if you go back to RR, right? And this is how it all worked out for me. This thing popped over $2, and all of a sudden it started pumping a shit ton of volume. The second I'm going to trade a pop and fell of anything, it pops above us. I instantly, I just focus 100% on the bid. And I start seeing the bid dropping, 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 dropping. But they're refilling the bid. I was like, man, that is pumping out a lot of volume, which means it has high demand. And so I was like, man, I don't know if I want to short this thing front to side. And then right before the close of the candle, it dropped, it opened a new candle, and then it started just dropping. And I instantly slammed the bid. And I got a bit fill at like $1.96 or something like that. I covered half, right below my first target. Is super close to my second target, so I left my second target. I covered at my third target. I missed this because I had a range order in, which is how I prefer to trade. I don't like to stare at these stocks because I don't like to have my attention drawn to something else and then jump into the trade. And I'd rather just be done. I know what I'm doing. I'm taking short here. I'm risking the high. I started chopping around in here. It almost faked me out, honestly. And then it tanked. Covered. I covered, set a range order, missed this, came back after eating lunch, and I covered my final piece over here. Done. Sweet. Well, that was my trade. But at the end of the day, what you have to come back and do is you have to also look at, all right, well, I didn't trade MRM, but how did it react? Oh, well, let's see. Pop and fell pre-market high. Sweet. There's your risk. Comes down, hits J lines. Cover half. Stop instantly goes to break even. You get stopped out break even. Did it stuff a whole or half dollar number? No. Did it give a lower high bounce? No. So that means no gap and extension. Yeah. Could you have made a shit ton of money? Absolutely. But that's not my trade. That's not my setup. So I would have left it alone. That's how I would have traded that. Then I'm going to come back to that in a second. But then PWM, this thing went down, shot up, it halted. I wouldn't have shorted the front side of the halt, right? But on the second candle, it opened, had a little pop up, little wick, and then started slamming down. I was shorted right there. I've been risking pre-market high, cover half, cover half, cover half, and cover the final down here. But I want to go over a couple different things. So the first thing I want to go over is when you're taking a trade, right? You have to know what are you risking, which is also why I want to take this off really quick. So, which is why in this room, I don't care how much money you're making. I don't care how much size you're using. This is not an ego-driven room at all. For me, I want to have a place where people can talk about the trades, share the charts, and have a good healthy zone. And for me, that means no calling out crazy stupid stocks. The only people that are allowed to call out stocks are, like a handful of people. When this grows up, because I really do believe that this trading room is going to get bigger. I want that to be a like concrete rule. We also don't talk about how much money you're making. All we do is we talk about R. If you're willing to risk $100 on a trade, that's 1R. Your job is to make sure that you make 2R at least. Ideally, 3R is what you should really be shooting for because it is going to help you out, especially when your win rate is low. It's going to help you out a lot. So try to shoot for 3R. So whether you're risking $50, $100, $500, whatever it is, I don't care. Just talk about R, right? So if you go back to my chart, right? I traded RR. So I got filled at $1.96. So let's just say $1.96. Say the high was 206 because that's roughly 206. So that means that let's just use something super simple. Say $100, right? So I'm risking $100 from here to there. So if I'm risking 10 cents, $100, that means 1,000 shares, right? So this goes down I get covered at $1.75. So I would cover 500 shares with a 25-cent win. So that's $125. Bam. There you go. Now I instantly lower my stop to break even. Awesome. This is so close. I'm not covering another one at like 5 or 6 cents lower. I'm just not doing it. But I would cover another half down here at $1.09 or $1.60. That's 35 cents away on say 250 shares because we're risking $100 in theory, right? So 250 shares, that's 30 cents. That's 60. That's not 60. That's 70. That's $70. So, and then the final little piece down here, another 35. You start adding this stuff up, you're gonna have a decent payday just risking $100, right? But the idea is once you start adding that up, right? So I'm risking $100, right? So I need to make at least $200 because that's 2R. I already made $200 in these. This is just a cherry on top. This makes it like a 3R trade. So if I want to talk to people in the room, I'd be like, hey, yeah, Adam, how'd you do on RR? Oh, I had a 5-figure day. Like, no, dude, nobody gives a shit about your 5-figure day. Like, cram that up your ass. No. I traded pretty good. I had a 3R trade. All right, cool, man. That's great. A 3R trade. That's a good trade. The other thing that you need to do at the end of the day is cool. I track my trades. How did I do? How did I execute? Did I execute very well? Honestly, I feel like I executed really well on this. I really did. Uh, I would have liked to have a better fill up closer to the $2, but I mean, like I said, I'm off by 6 cents, and that's the other thing. I'm not a huge fan of like lower price stocks. Is I mean, you have to go in with really big size to really make a decent payday. It's not really that worth it. Then on MRM, see like now this I like. Why? Because you pop and fell of a pre-market high at $2.80. This high, I don't even know what the hell the high is. It's like say 85, 90 at the worst, 10 cents, right? So back to the same thing. You're risking $100, 10 cents, $100, 1,000 shares. Okay, well, you cover 500 down here at $7. That's almost $500 in like 2 minutes. And then you cover the rest break even. Okay, dude, like don't be greedy and just leave it alone. Oh, well, except for I did forget. Like, okay, so if you're risking $100, right? It's not an A plus. This is a micro float. So you can't risk $100 for me. This is how I do it. You guys can do it however the hell you want to. But for me, okay, you risk $50. You risk half because it's not an A plus setup. It's you go in half size, so $50. So okay, so 500. You would still make about $250 in a couple minutes. And if you're going for $5,000 a month, there you go. Like you literally need to do that on average every day for the month, and you make $5,000 a month. That's literally all you have to do. And you start waiting for these stocks that are a little bit better that you can go in on full size. Well, shit, dude, in 3 minutes, you literally doubled what you need to make on a day. So I mean, that's how you start building stuff up. Then again, on this one, right? This thing went down. It did halt right here. I would not have shorted on the front side, but the second this opened, it showed that it couldn't pop any higher and started slamming. I slammed the bid, risking pre-market high, cover half, cover half, cover half, cover the last little piece over here. But once again, the problem is this is like 10 cents. You're gonna have to go in with crazy big size. And so for me, the whole idea behind this is, I started talking to people about, different, they want to make this much money. They need to make this, or, how would I recommend going about making $5,000 a month? Okay, well, I'm not saying that I'm going to make I could absolutely make you $5,000 a month right now if you have the right account size, you have the right experience, you have all this kind of stuff. But what I'm more interested in doing is teaching you guys how to actually live off of this. And what does that mean for you? Do you want to have a business or are you trying to just have a side hustle? For me, right now, I'm trying to build a business. So for me, you have a $30,000 account. Okay, well, that means you're only trading with $5,000. First thing you need to do is you need to build that up, get it to a $50,000 account. Then take $5,000 out, put it into a separate account. That way, if you do anything stupid, you have a backup account. Awesome. Well, now how much money do you want to make in a year? Okay, well, divide that by 252, and that's what you need to average on a day. Okay, cool, man. Well, now you have a blueprint. Start aiming for those numbers. Start trying to make those numbers. Once you have a year's worth of money set aside and you've proven to yourself with data that you can actually do this, you set that or over into another high yield savings account. Awesome. Well, now you have a fallback on plan. At the same time, I was talking to a guy and he's asking me why I don't trade full time. The reason is because that was probably like the most stressful 9 months of my entire life. Because this shit, like when you have to pay your mortgage, you gotta pay your health insurance, your car insurance, car payments, the pool or the jacuzzi breaks down, or what else happened? My freaking fridge and my freezer broke. Uh, then the lawn. I don't want to go mow the grass and cut the hedges and trim the palm trees and all that kind of crap. So I mean, you have all these expenses, and then you show up to the market and there's nothing to trade. It's super stressful. And so for me, I was like, well, I don't want to do that. And so for me, when I got the opportunity to come back and, help, you know, my family build this business back up and help them out and get salary to, cover my bills, that sounds like a hell of a job. Okay, I can do that. And on top of that, I get to build up this. I get to build up this community. I get to help people and I get to teach you this. How many of you guys are doing this job every single day? If you want to make good money, this is what you need to be doing. If you're not, and you're not having good consistency in your trades, this is why you have to do this. At the same time, this is what I'm going to start doing on, Wednesdays and Fridays and reviewing the market because you absolutely need to start doing this stuff. But best way to do this is with an accountability buddy or a group or a community, a family, and start building this stuff up. So I want to make a really quick video. Hopefully you guys found value in this. But the first thing is, fall in love with the process. Don't be in such a rush to make, ungodly amounts of money. If you follow the process over and over and over and over and over, and you get data showing that the system works, it's literally just you screwing up the system. Okay, well, that's going to take a little bit longer. That's each individual person. How long is it going to take you to, work on your demons? That's the hard part. Once you start figuring that stuff out, and you're like, oh, I have a system that works. Adam's making money with this. Other members of the team are making money with this. Okay, well, now you have to figure out like, okay, well, how do you work with your own personality? And that comes with a team. Hey, what about this idea? Or what about that? Or hey, I dealt with something very similar to that. I did this. Maybe this will help you. And then you start building this up and everybody starts winning together. So that's just a short little video. Hopefully you guys found value in this, and I will see you tomorrow.